Happy Tuesday, everybody. Here I am, reading the next part of this book, seeing what happens with this party. Here we go. It was fun until it wasn't. I have to hand it to my parents. They broke out all the greatest hits for Evan's party. We had a popcorn machine because I remembered he loved it at his birthday party last year. We had a karaoke machine so everyone could sing their favorite songs. I confess, I have not been able to adjust to this whole thing they call pop music. It's really just a series of random noises with someone singing words that are often impossible to understand. There was a little dancing, a little flirting, a lot of hot dogs, a water balloon fight, 2 kinds of cupcakes, chocolate and vanilla. Yummy. And a make your own caramel apple station. Oh, I love caramel apples. That would be amazing. Evan was in heaven. As the party was winding down, I thought we were home free because everything had gone perfectly. As some kids started to get picked up by their parents, Lester made the perfectly innocent suggestion of playing a pickup basketball game in the driveway while everyone else waited for their rides. "Under the lights, it will be sweet," he said. "Evan and Arnold, you guys be captains." Even though only a few kids were still there, it was a little thrilling to be asked to be captain of anything sports related. It didn't exactly happen every day. Evan picked Ross, and I picked Lester, and Evan picked Kiki, and I picked the tall girl named Angie, and Evan picked a kid named Philip, and then we both realized that the last one standing there was Brett. He didn't look happy. "Are you guys serious?" he moaned. "I'm usually one of the first kids picked." "Well, now you know how it feels to be one of the last kids picked," Evan said. He was obviously feeling a little bolder than usual. It's being his party and all. "You're on my team, Brett," I said, and he harumphed his way over to my side of the court. "I'll ref," my dad said cheerfully. It was the last cheerful thing anyone said all night. It turned out Brett wasn't kidding when he said at school that he wasn't happy about Ross and Kiki. They were both on Evan's team, so Brett decided that it was the perfect excuse to make their lives miserable, at least until someone's mom or dad came to pick them up. First, he tripped Ross. "Foul!" announced my dad. "Brett, that was uncalled for. It's a friendly birthday party pickup game, not Game 7 of the NBA Finals." "Sorry, Mr. Kinder," he said, but he didn't seem all that sorry, especially since 2 players later he gave Kiki a healthy push from behind, and she went sprawling into the bushes. He's being mean. Sounds like he's a little jealous or something. Oh, come on. "Hey!" screamed Ross. "You just pushed a girl! My girl! That's so not cool!" And he gave Brett a healthy shove of his own. But Brett didn't go sprawling to the bushes. He went splat on the concrete driveway. Ooh. He came up clutching his arm and wailing. I think I broke my elbow. I think you broke my elbow." "The game is over," bellowed my dad. "Everyone back inside." I'm trying to get my book. It's such a new book that's hard to stay open. Okay. Angie and Philip followed my dad over to Brett and see if he was okay, while Kiki dashed over to Ross and put her hand on his shoulder as if to say, "It's not your fault, honey." Evan, who was standing there with his mouth open, trying to figure out how the end of the party went so wrong, saw Kiki and Ross huddled together and decided that was the last straw. "That's it! I am sick of this! I'm sick of you two just being all lovey-dovey and ignoring everyone else. Kiki, I thought we were best friends, and you know that Ross and Brett have been making fun of me for, forever, but you just don't care, and now he just broke Brett's arm, and you're still standing there next to Ross like he's so awesome, and I don't want to be friends with any of you guys anymore, and this is the worst birthday party ever in the history of the world." And right then, as if on cue, Evan's mom drove up in the driveway, and without another word, Evan ran to the car and got in. Mrs. Brantley got out of the car and was on her way up the front walk, probably to say thank you to my parents for the party, when Evan stuck his head out the window. "Mom, let's go! Hurry up! I want to go!" My mom ran over to Mrs. Brantley. I'm so sorry," she said. "There was a minor incident at the end of the party. I'm sure it will all be fine, but Evan got a bit upset. You should probably get him home." Mrs. Brantley nodded and gave my mom a quick hug, then went back to her car and got in. Evan stared straight ahead as they backed out of the driveway. The rest of us just stared as they drove away. Brett, who'd forgotten all about his supposedly broken elbow, kicked the basketball into the yard. No one said anything until Sarah Ann, who'd been watching this whole thing from the porch, walked over with us to her letterboard. He forgot his presents. A visitor. I didn't see Evan for a few days after that, except in school. We all decided that it was best to leave him alone. At lunch, he sat by himself, at the same table and in the same seat he had been sitting in when we saw him on my very first day of school. He was even eating the same unidentifiable, healthy, gloopy green stuff. Ross and Brett made up, of course. In fact, they made up about 30 seconds after Evan left in a huff. Kiki helped by telling Brett that even if she and Ross liked each other, Brett and Ross wouldn't always be best friends. Or would always be best friends. Brett seemed to accept that. It turns out even obnoxious kids get their feelings hurt every once in a while. As for my parents, well, let's just say they've decided that maybe we'll hold off on surprise parties for the foreseeable future, which is just fine with me. And Lester, he thought the whole thing was hilarious. I believe his exact quote was, "Holy smokes, that whole thing was hilarious!" But later that night, when he realized that I was actually really sad about losing my best friend, at least temporarily, he knocked on my door and sat down on my bed. "Sorry about today," he said. "Fighting with friends can be a real drag, but it never lasts." "I guess," I told him. "But it wasn't just today. Something's been up with Evan for a while. At first I thought it was because of Kiki and Ross, but I'm not so sure anymore. Maybe it's something else." Lester lay back on the bed with a big plop. "Well, give the little dude a space, and eventually he'll be ready to tell you what's up. Aye?" Lester said "aye" a lot. Humans use it as a faster way to say all right. 5 minutes after Lester left my room, I got a text from Evan. "Sorry about today. I didn't mean to ruin the party. I have a lot on my mind, I guess. Thanks for everything." Wow, I thought to myself. Maybe Lester is right. "It's okay," I texted back. "Do you want to talk about it?" It took Evan about 5 minutes to respond. No. 2 days later, I was walking home from school when I got a text from my mom. "Are you on your way home?" I scratched my head in confusion. That was a weird question. I almost always came home right after school. "Yes," I responded. My mom texted again. "Great." My mind jumped to the possibility that maybe Evan was at the house, although that didn't make sense since Evan was anti-me right now. "Why? What's up?" "Just hurry home." "Is something wrong?" "No." Excitement surged through my bloodless veins. I started to run before remembering that running and me didn't get along, so I walked as fast as my rubbery little legs could take me and made it home in about 10 minutes. I would have been out of breath, but I don't breathe. I turned the corner to our street and saw an army vehicle in our driveway. Oh, that would have made me stop breathing, but again, a quick reminder, I don't breathe. Just because I don't breathe and can't run and have no warm blood in my body, it doesn't mean I can't feel emotion. And the emotion I was feeling right at that moment was fear. Intense fear. It was the exact kind of military vehicle, a Jeep with darkened windows and a deep green paint job that they had in the territory. Those were the vehicles that were driving all over campus looking for me when I was trying to escape. I'd learned not to like those vehicles. So why was one at our house? Dun, dun, dun. Woo! Should I stop? Oh! That's okay, I'll keep going. Lucky for you. I had a flashback to the last time I had this feeling about someone visiting our house. It was when Dr. Grassmere, the director of Project Z, had come to convince my family and me that I should go back to the territory to help the zombies enter regular society. I'd agreed. Big mistake. I walked slowly up the front steps and opened the door, pretty sure I wasn't going to like what I saw. But I was wrong. Because sitting there having coffee with my parents was Sergeant Kelly, the nicest human person in the whole territory. She protected me when everyone else was against me, and she helped me when I thought I was going to be punished for trying to escape. "Sergeant Kelly!" I exclaimed. Then, without thinking, I ran up to her and gave her a big hug. "Oh!" she said, in a voice of awkward surprise. That was when I realized that maybe you weren't supposed to run up and hug hug sergeants in the U.S. Army. I immediately pulled back and said, "Whoops, sorry about that. I was just happy to see you, I guess." Sergeant Kelly laughed. "Oh, it's all good," she said. "I'm not exactly a stickler for regulations, and what harm can one hug do, right?" "Right," I said. My parents were sitting on the couch, but unlike when Dr. Grassmere visited, they didn't seem tense at all. In fact, they were both smiling broadly. "Sergeant Kelly has come to see us with an interesting piece of news," said my mom. "That's right," my dad chimed in. "The Big Cheese wants to see us." "The Big Cheese?" Scratched my head. I had no idea what that meant. Sergeant Kelly had an envelope in her hand, and she held it out for me. "Here, take a look at this." I took the envelope. The first thing I noticed was some type on the back, in big red letters. "Expedited delivery from the United States Armed Forces." And then, just below that, in black letters, "Commander Jonathan Jensen, USMS." "What does USMS stand for?" I asked Sergeant Kelly. "United States Marshal Services." "Go ahead and read it," my mom said. I grabbed the letter from the envelope and I read it in about 3.5 seconds. I'm a really fast reader, especially when I'm excited. It said, "Dear Mrs. Kinder, Mr. Kinder, and Arnold, I hope you have all been well. I wanted to give you an update about where things are with Project Z. We have been making great strides in planning for our next phase. I think you will be excited to hear what we are thinking. It would be my great pleasure to host you all at my quarters for a meeting, which can be arranged at your convenience. Refreshments will be served. It will be very good to see you all again, and I send you my best regards. Sincerely, Jonathan Jensen, Regional Commander, United States Marshal Services." I held the letter out to my parents. "We've already read it," said Dad. "So," said my mom, "pretty cool, right?" They must have thought a look of excitement would cross my face, but they seemed confused when it didn't. "Arnold, everything okay, buddy?" said Dad. I wasn't sure I wanted to say what I was thinking out loud, but everyone was waiting for me to speak, so I did. "I don't want to go." You could hear a slight gasp from my mom. Sergeant Kelly, however, didn't look surprised at all. My dad gently put his hand on my shoulder. "Can I ask why not?" "Because the last time someone came to visit us to ask us to go back there, it was a trick. This might be a trick, too. I don't ever want to have anything to do with any of those people ever again." No offense, Sergeant." "None taken," she said. "Well, let's talk about this for a second," said my mom. "I completely understand what you're saying, Arnold, and I don't blame you one bit. The last experience was traumatic for all of us, but this one's different. This is the head of the entire operation inviting us all to his residence, which isn't even in the territory. He ended up helping us, remember? I honestly think this is going to be good news, and we should consider it." "You said that last time," I reminded her. My mom blinked twice. "That's right, I did." Okay, I'll consider it. Do we have to decide right now?" I asked. "Of course not." My mom turned to Sergeant Kelly. "Thank you so much for stopping by. We'll think about this very generous request and get back to you shortly." "Sounds good," said the sergeant. "It was good to see you again, Arnold. You seem terrific, and I'm so glad everything is working out for you." "Thank you," I said. And then I added, "Can I ask you what you think, Sergeant Kelly? Do you think we should go meet Commander Jensen?" Sergeant Kelly thought for a second. "I'm not in a position to offer advice in these kinds of situations," she said. "It's above my pay grade, but I will tell you this. Commander Jensen is among the most honorable people I have ever met in the armed forces." And with that, she saluted and left. My parents and I stood there for a few seconds. I decided they were waiting for me to say something, but I wasn't sure I had anything to say. Finally, an idea popped into my head. It was a way to deal with the two most important things on my mind at the same time. You know what's going to happen? I'm going over to Evan's house to ask what he thinks. Ooh, so he's going to go talk to Evan about what's up with him, and he's going to see what Evan thinks about him going to Commander Jensen's house. Interesting. Uh-oh. And I am going to stop there. But you can tune back in tomorrow to see what Evan thinks about all this. Oh, by the way, hey, what is it, Mia and Jordan that have this? Or maybe it's Sophia. Sophia and Mia, or maybe Jordan. I don't know. But anyways, here's my pink one that you guys have. Maybe it doesn't. Does it look pink? I don't know. My light is so bright in here. Maybe it doesn't look pink. But it's like that baby pink color. We'll have to twin when I see you. Totally. All right. Happy Tuesday, guys. Bye.